Good morning. It's September the 5th, Tuesday, and I'm using up a glut of tomatoes. In this pan, I have measured out a large jar full of tomatoes, and I've cut them all up into bits. I've put in half a teaspoon of salt and a splash of lemon juice, and I'm just going to heat that up and let it boil down a bit. I've got a jar warming in the oven on regulo 2, and I've got the jar lids soaking in some boiling water, and this will preserve the tomatoes for winter time. Okay, so my jar's nice and hot. The tomatoes have been sterilised, and I'm just going to fill this up as full as I can get it. It is so nice in the winter time to have that fresh taste of homegrown tomatoes. So much nicer than if you just buy a tin of tomatoes. To measure out the exact amount of tomatoes, I fill the jar up with the cut up tomatoes and a little bit extra because I know there's spaces. Right. Right, turn that nice and tight, and then what I'll do, turn it upside down and leave it upside down for a little while, and that seals the lid. So I've turned it the right way up, and the lid is kind of rounded like that, and as long as it stays like that, you know it's perfectly sealed. So I'll just put that away somewhere cool, and that will store like that for months. So delicious in the winter time. Today I think I'm going to sort out this chickpea bush. I had that one harvest, and the pods that were left on are just not fattening up. Oh, there is one in there. Maybe I can see what I can salvage, but it wasn't really very successful. Nice looking plant though, but I'll take it out. I'm not going to grow this next year, definitely. That's today's haul from the garden and the allotment. First squash being cooked up with leeks and fennel. Crown Prince butternut squash with fennel, tomatoes, leek and air fried potato. It's now Wednesday, September the 6th, and I still had some of the squash to use up that I cooked yesterday. Well, no, I didn't cook it yesterday. I still had half of it to use. So I've roasted that with garlic and oil, and I've put in Greek salad cheese and tomatoes from the garden. And then, inspired by Amir, from Amir's Allotment, I've used plenty of cucumber to get rid of some more cucumber, and yoghurt with mint sauce and cumin in there, and I've just air fried some parsnip and carrot because I had some lurking in the fridge that needed using up. Doesn't that look colourful? Good morning. It's a very warm Friday, September the 8th, and we're going away for the weekend. So I've just been having a massive pick in the garden, and we've got runner beans, of course, and tons of tomatoes. Oh. I'll show you what I've got. I've picked every tomato, even if it's just starting to go ripe. We've got something in the greenhouse that is coming in and nibbling a few of the tomatoes when they're ripe. So I'm just taking the ones that are just about to go and taking them indoors so they don't get nibbled. Okay, so I'm just about to do my watering and feeding because we're going to be away for the weekend, and just given the chickens their water and filled up their hopper over there and given them some greens to pick at, so they'll be happy for a few days. These are the tomatoes I picked a few days ago, and these are the ones I've picked today. So I need to do some bottling to make sure we've got some for the winter. Same method I showed you in the previous video. Just a little salt and lemon juice in with the tomatoes. I flip the jars upside down, and that's to seal the lid. And then when they've cooled off a bit, I'll put them the right way up and put them into storage. I've just given my comfrey tea, well, it's comfrey nettle and grass tea, a stir, and it smells so bad, but that's good. It's good stuff, and I'm feeding my tomatoes before we go away. Hello, it is Thursday the 14th of September. We were away last weekend again, haven't had any time for filming, and well, it's just been non-stop, so I've had no time for being in the garden, although I have harvested, and we've been eating tomatoes till they come out of their ears. My favourite breakfast now is tomatoes on toast. And we're having tomato salad tonight with one of the squashes I harvested earlier. But what I'm sat here doing is, this is my latest foraging. I've got loads and loads of nuts, and I don't know whether you can see that. I'm going through them, just making sure they're all okay, there's no holes in them. I've got, this is a bag I've already done. We'll make nut roasts out of these. And right outside our back garden gate, these are what I've just picked up off the ground. There's a tree hanging over from our neighbour's garden, and they just drop on the path, so I pick them up and use them. Nice, so that's all I'm doing at the moment. So see you next time. So this is the pathway that runs between the houses. That's the tree up there, the hazel tree that's dropping all its nuts, and all I have to do is go out. I picked up a lot yesterday. All I have to do is go out and pick them up off the ground, and it's right outside our back garden gate. How fortunate. Right, that's the harvest that Alistair brought home. tree sits behind his beehives, and this is the harvest from right outside the back gate. They'll store perfectly happy like that into winter, and then whenever I feel like it, I'll crack some open and turn them into nut roasts. I've rescued 2 pots of basil from Lidl. They just don't look after them, and what I've done is I've split them up, and I'm going to try and keep as much of this going as I can through winter time. It's in the conservatory at the moment, which does get quite cold in the winter, but I'll probably take it indoors and pop it on a windowsill. It's now Friday, September the 15th, and I'm sat in the conservatory. I've just sorted out the tomato seed that I saved. I've had it soaking in water for 4 days, and I put the seed in a sieve, washed off all the jelly stuff, and now I'm drying it on some kitchen towel in the conservatory, out of direct sunlight, and I'm going to leave it here to dry off, and that'll be my seed saved for next year. While I was in the conservatory sorting out the tomato seed, I noticed, Pixie, you're in the way of the camera, thank you. The onions that have been on the conservatory windowsill are dry enough to put into storage, so I'm just going to go over each one. Nice, sitting outside by the back door, kind of a job. I'll just kind of top and tail them and put them in a basket to store for the winter. There's actually not as many as we had originally because we've eaten quite a lot already. It's a nice kind of mellow September day. So nice job just to do here. That one's a bit soft. I think that might have to go in the compost. Oh, that one's soft too. Go straight in the compost. Well, seeing as we've eaten so many, there's not that many left, but they'll keep us going for a few weeks. These are ones that I need up to use up fairly soon because some of them are starting to go a bit soft like that. So, put that lot away for storage. The potatoes that I harvested a while back, I've had in a sack in the shed, so I'm just going to select a few for use in the house. I've been given this nice bucket. It's actually big enough to store all of them in. Great. So I won't need to leave any in the shed. I do have to... Ooh, wasp. I do have to go over the allotment though and harvest the pink fir apples and the Charlottes that are over there, but won't have time for that today. And still, the tomatoes keep coming. I think I eat tomatoes at every meal. I'm just about to have a tomato sandwich. yesterday I had tomatoes on toast for breakfast. I had tomatoes for supper. We're going to have tomatoes with our dinner tonight. Oh, I love them though, absolutely love tomatoes. These leeks in the front garden are running to seed rather. So I think I'll pull them all up, see what I can salvage for leek and potato soup and for dinner tonight. Leek and potato soup from the freezer is my go-to when we go away in our camper van. It's just so easy. Whenever we get anywhere, we're tired from driving, so I just take it out of the freezer in the morning. It's nearly defrosted by the time we get there, and I just heat it up, we eat it with bread. Wonderful. Let's see what we can make of that lot. That's just from the 2 largest leeks. That'll be plenty for the soup. There's enough potato for thickening purposes when it's whizzed up in the blender at the end. That's roughly just over 2 pints of stock, and I'll add salt and pepper to taste. Let it boil for 15 minutes and then whiz it up in the blender, and that's it. So easy. That's a couple of the smaller leeks cut up ready for whatever else we're having for tea tonight. I'll assess that situation totally when I go over the allotment. And that's what's left over, ready to go in the fridge for, well, next meal. When that's cool, I'll just split it up into a couple of portions and put it in the freezer. Just got over to the allotments and I'm going to dig up a few potatoes, as many as I can, and see if we've got any sweet corn for dinner. Well, the pink fir apples are not very good. That's the seed. That's one of the seed ones. I got a few nice ones, but a lot of them had gone green on the top where the hay had come off, and quite a lot of slug damage. However, I'm very happy with these. There's a few holes in a couple, but most of them are okay. The label said Charlotte, but looking at the colour, they've got to be Desiree. Must be Desiree. I can't think they can be anything else. Anyway, I've just raked over the bed and I'm going to cover it over with the rest of the hay, and then at some stage I might just put a piece of weed-proof membrane down over the top, because I don't have anything to go in there now. Note to self, don't bother with pink fir apples next year. Alright, a bit later on when I walk the dogs, I'm going to come back and harvest a couple more sweet corn for dinner, I think, to go with the leeks. And what else did I have there? The leek butternut squash. I've got some kohlrabi here. I might take a couple of these, go with it nicely. Take that one, and There's one there that's been eaten a bit, so I can salvage quite a bit of that. And that little baby one, perhaps. Stir-fried vegetables with sweet corn.